So we're just chilling, we're vibing, and I'm looking up at the stars. I happen to notice to my far right a bright blue light that's following us adjacent to the T-top.
Good evening, hikers. Tonight, we step off the familiar trails and onto the old logging roads. The ones that run straight into the marrow of Maine, where the cell signal fades out and the woods begin to breathe on their own. I'm Reverend Redbeard, and this is the Fogcast. Our guest is someone who knows those shadows firsthand. Michael Lowell Wright, Amazon best-selling mystery author, third-generation logger, mill worker, and lifelong wanderer of the Golden Road, joins us to talk about his book, a story rooted in the inland towns most folks forget. Wright writes the Maine that doesn't make postcards. The deep county, where the land itself has a voice, and sometimes that voice calls your name. We'll talk about the real disappearances that inspired his novel, the folklore woven through his pages, and the strange prehistoric weight of the Maine landscape. We'll wander into moose-haunted clearings, tick-ridden underbrush, and the unsettling quiet of Eagle Lake after dark. And yes, we'll even follow a bright blue light down a lonely Lambert Lake road. Before we get to the show, a friendly, if you hear branches breaking overhead, keep on walking reminder to join us over on Patreon. Early access, ad-free episodes, and exclusive content wait there like a lantern left burning on an abandoned porch. Wander to acadiaafterdark.com for more stories the forest hasn't forgotten. Now, let's get into the episode. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and I am joined by Michael Lowell Wright this evening. Michael, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
I am fantastic. I'm very much looking forward to our conversation tonight. You are a local author based in Maine. Where are you based out of?
I'm based out of Holden, Maine. I'm pretty close to Acadia.
Oh, no kidding. Right up the road. Right up the road. Heck yeah.
We're down the street.
Nice. I like that. We have similar. We were just talking briefly, and we both have, it seems like, similar thematic inspiration from Maine. And your first book I picked up, I started reading it. I'm very much enjoying it.
Thank you so
The
much.
Golden Road is fantastic. It was Amazon bestseller and mystery, correct?
Correct, and Audible bestseller.
Fantastic. That's quite the achievement.
Thank you.
So why don't we start right off with that? So tell me a little bit about the book, because I've just started in on it. I'm sure that my audience listening is gonna want to check this book out, because when I just making it through the first chapter alone, it's so Maine in its heart that it really was just, having lived here, grown up here, I love seeing that in literature. And I
Right.
really appreciated how you captured it and made it like accessible.
Thank you so much. And that actually was my intention, to put real Maine landmarks, real Maine stores. I had to get permission for that. And really dedicate a book written for Maine people to enjoy, and especially thriller fans in Maine. And I wanted to pay close attention to towns that are not always talked about, like Millinocket or Holton, and places that are not coastal. I feel like thriller and horror movies are based in, the coastal towns, which they should be. They're beautiful towns, but I wanted to put a subject matter on untouched things that people talk about.
That makes a lot of sense to me. It's definitely, it's a story that doesn't get said a lot, but it's such a unique one in that part of Maine. And it's something, I was talking to somebody else the other day. Maine really is a state that contains multitudes, because it is such a vastly different world, where you go from Portland to like mid-coast area, then to like up north when you get up towards the county, and how drastically different the lifestyle, the culture, the entire place is. And seeing stories told from that perspective, because like I see and read a lot of Maine horror, I don't see a ton of them that are out in the county, that are out in the, really out in the woods.
Right. And that's
Maine
what I
is
wanted to
known
capture.
for.
And you nailed it. Maine is vastly diverse. I grew up very down east, like Calais, Machias area, more so the Calais area. And I didn't see the ocean until I was 8 years old. I know that blows people's mind, but
when we have this much coast, it does seem crazy, but I know people that really haven't.
Yeah.
It's really one of those things where, you can tell too when somebody has lived here, has grown up here, in the way that they talk about the place, because there's a lot of themes that seem to come up in your writing that I see in a lot of other stories that I read, as well as my own writing. And it seems to be very Maine specific, right? Like, for instance, one of the themes is that Maine always seems to like have a way of like getting into people. It's like it calls back to them or something like that.
That's so true.
I see that in a lot of writings, and it's a theme that you touched on very early on in the book, is that, the call to Maine and the call to the woods, like the land almost speaks to people. And that's something that I've discussed before too. It really feels like this place has something special to it like that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we could talk for hours about it.
It's special in that way, for sure.
It really is.
Do you so what are some of your like inspirations aside from just Maine as a whole? Did you grow up in like, you growing up in Calais? You had mentioned in the book, The Golden Road, a lot about logging and about a lot about arboreal work and stuff like that. Did you grow up around that, or is that something that was in that community and so you kind of absorbed it?
So I did. I grew up in Princeton, Maine. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but I'm a third generation logger and mill worker.
All right.
I worked in that industry for about 10, 15 years before I went to college. I'm very proud of that culture, because that's where I grew up and that's where my family made their living. And I truly believe in, hard work ethic. So,
that's awesome. That's cool. It definitely comes through in the writing, because you see, my father-in-law, he's a logger. I've grown up around, the coast had mills and stuff historically. It's always been like a big, like lumber focused place. Nowadays, it's shifted more to fishing and things like that. And again, you can definitely tell when somebody has really grown up around it and like is entrenched in that lifestyle. And it comes through in your writing. So I definitely enjoy seeing that being told.
I appreciate you picking that out.
Aside from that, in Maine in general, like as far as your writing and then going into the Golden Road, what was your inspiration when you started that?
Behind the Golden Road?
Yeah.
It was to tell a main story, like I said, of a town that was not talked about. I have vast experiences on the Golden Road, exploring the Golden Road, hiking the Appalachian Trail there, exploring probably about 60, 70 miles on that road. So when you're driving on that road, the lakes, the streams, everything seems prehistoric. And even my slogan, "Where Maine Turns Dark," comes from the Katahdin Woods. When you're in those woods, the woods are so deep, it looks like dusk. It's dark. It looks like you're in another world.
Yeah. It's something that's so like strange. And I don't think that people, unless they've been to areas like that, can really understand how you can have an entire canopy to the forest where you just don't see actual daylight.
It's dark.
Filtered through the needles and the pines and everything else. And then below it is like a whole other ecosystem and world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You can walk through it for hours and just never actually see a ray of real sun.
Right. Absolutely.
It's incredible. We have some spots like that down here in Acadia, on the island, because it is very forested in spots.
Yeah.
But nothing like compared to inland. The further north you go, it's an entire wilderness out there. It's incredible.
I've explored Acadia vastly too, though. I love Acadia. I used to run a TikTok channel called Acadian Beast, where I used to just do adventures and running around Acadia. So
no kidding.
It definitely
some
had
of your
spots.
Yeah. What's some of your favorite trails out here? There's some good ones.
My all-time favorite trail. I'm not going to tell you what most people. I don't like Precipice or Beehive. I've done them many times. I would say Pematech is my favorite trail, my favorite mountain.
It's a nice one.
Yeah, and I go off the feelings, the chakras, if you believe in chakras. I go off the feelings. Every mountaintop in Acadia has a different feel to it.
Yeah.
And the Pematech Mountain, the mountaintop, the summit, has an anxiety-ridden feeling, but I almost feel like I connect with it.
Really? Oh, that's interesting. I've heard people say that before, that like each of the mountains kind of has its own feeling, its own personality,
Right.
And everybody does connect with their own.
Right.
For me, it was like when I was younger, I did Precipice and Beehive, and nowadays I look back at it, and I did it when I was probably in my like late teens, early 20s. Okay.
Right.
And at the time, it was like, oh yeah, those were fun.
Right.
And I enjoyed it. When you get to the top, it's an achievement, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But then the longer that I've like lived here and since then and like went on to do other things and stuff, the more that I was just kind of like, they're cool trails. They're definitely worth trying, but it didn't give me the same like feeling that I got when I went on some of the other ones. Like Sky Mountain was one that I really had a blast the first time I did that.
Right.
Another one was Wonderland. Was a fantastic trail out on the quiet side.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that I was not like, appreciative of when I was younger. Because, doing Beehive, it's like, oh, yeah, this is like real climbing.
Right. You want to do the dangerous stuff. You haven't developed fear yet. So,
yeah, exactly. Now I'm thinking back on it. I'm like, I couldn't do it today. Ain't no way. I don't think I could actually honestly climb that one if I wanted to. I think the way down would probably kill me.
I almost fell off Precipice one winter, and don't tell me why we were hiking on in the winter. Kind of a dumb move, but it was fairly towards the bottom where that rungs are, where you're almost down off Precipice, and I slid off the ledge and I caught myself on the bar.
Oh, Lord. Oh, wow.
I'm 43 now, so I stopped taking those risks. I'm like, how many lives do I really have? So
right. Yeah, you're burning through enough of them at this point. It's probably not worth it. Yeah. When the first time that I did Precipice, I didn't have really as much of a problem with it going up. coming down, I remember having an acute anxiety like the entire way down that other
Wait a
side
minute. You went down precipice?
on precipice because you go up the one trail with the rungs and then you
Right.
go down the other side.
Oh,
Right?
okay. You're talking about, I thought you meant you climbed down
Yeah.
precipice.
No. Oh no.
I was like, whoa.
No. I ain't suicidal. No. No. But funny enough, there is a story of like, well, there's at least two people that I know of that have fallen off the precipice.
Yeah,
And it's one of our most dangerous peaks in the park.
it is.
So, like that one, going the first time, going up, like I said, I had no problem. But then once
Right.
I was up there and I realized how high it was,
Right.
the next time I wanted to do it, I didn't have that same fearlessness at all. I had a lot more apprehension going up. And dude, I don't think now, having done it at least twice, I don't think I could do it again today.
Yeah, and that's totally normal. That's human psychology. I've experienced the same thing. Now I have climbed down Beehive. I'm not supposed to talk about that because I actually got in trouble for talking about that last time, but I'm mentioning
Oh,
that.
no kidding.
Yeah, it was peer pressure.
One of the Bordens bust you or something? Or?
No, I had a lot of Facebook. Oh, you shouldn't be talking about that because
Oh,
so
yeah.
don't really do that. It was super scary, super dangerous. It was peer pressure. The people in my group wanted me to do it, and I was like, "No, guys, this isn't a good idea." But I went, and it was super scary.
Yeah. I mean, one of the ones that I've recently done was Door Mountain, and that was just it's relatively easy. It's not like, I mean, it's a lot of incline, but it's not
Yeah,
a dangerous one. It's
no,
pretty moderate,
a lot of stairs.
But people do that one at night all the time.
Yeah, in the
I don't
winter.
know how. I've seen people do that. I've seen people do Beehive in the dark.
Yeah,
And I don't know how they do it, and one of those things is like I spend plenty of time wandering around the woods, but I stay on the ground when I do it. It's
right.
like-
Yeah, and that's called intelligence.
yeah.
But I have climbed a lot of Acadian peaks at night. I wouldn't recommend Precipice Beehive at night though. That's
No, it's asking for trouble.
yeah, it is truly.
There's a special sort of people that come up here sometimes and they are looking for a thrill. Those are the same ones that always come up and they're like, "Oh, well, where are the Wendigos?" And I'm like, "We don't have those here. They're not, Stephen King wrote about it, but that ain't the same one that he was talking about." So
Right.
but
Yeah, I stay on the quiet side when I go to Acadia. I really like Seal Harbor, of course, Jordan Pond, but vast places that people don't explore, like the carriage roads through there and Southwest Harbor. So
yeah, for sure. And I mean, a lot of the carriage roads out here are haunted as well, so that's
Oh,
always
100%.
super fun. Yeah, I love those. Those are some of my favorite ones to check out. We've been Eagle Lake one was one that I recently went down and checked out. There's also the Compass Harbor Trail, which is like right outside of Bar Harbor. Super nice trail in the day, but at night it's pretty creepy. Yeah.
I ran Eagle Lake at night and I was creeped out. I felt a presence following me the whole time, and the woods absolutely alive. I could hear everything moving around, everything, making noise. But Eagle Lake at night with a full moon is beautiful. I recommend it.
Yeah, can't beat it. It's a whole other experience for sure. Yeah. But that's enough gushing about Acadia for a minute.
I know.
So
Oh my God.
I love the place, but I could talk about it all the time. So getting back into your work with the Golden Road and stuff like that. So starting off in the book very early on, it sets up a pretty interesting missing persons case.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like that's a story that's pretty common up here. And I've covered several of them on my channel before.
Right.
Did you take any cues of that from real life, or was that one that, yeah. Okay.
I love that you picked up on that. There's many missing people in Maine, many unsolved cases, and I've always had a vast interest of them. To reveal some of the missing persons cases that kind of are in the Golden Road. You ever heard of the story of Michael Medore? Yes. So he's more of the cow, the main character, kind of going out for that vast adventure.
Yeah.
The Moxley brothers. You ever heard of that story?
I have not.
That would be the Thorne brothers. The Moxley brothers, they ended up finding them a week later, but they disappeared camping with their family in Katahdin on Baxter State Park. And they found them huddled up together in the woods. They had passed, unfortunately, but this was back in the 1960s. So that's kind of that falsetto of the brothers, the Thorne brothers.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm going to have to look into that one.
If you look on the cover of the Golden Road, you'll see a cross.
Yeah.
A lot of people might think that hints towards something of the story. It really doesn't. There was a cult that had murdered their children and buried them out there. So that's kind of like a homage to that. There's a lot of Easter eggs in there that I wanted to put in. I even put the Allagash UFO sightings in that book.
No kidding.
That's something I will reveal. It has nothing to do with the plot, but it talks about it. Yeah,
that I love coming across things like that. It makes me literally do like the the Leonardo DiCaprio meme, the just pointing, like, yeah, that's me when I come across stuff like that in writing, especially if it's anything Maine related. So I'll eat that stuff up.
Awesome.
So one of the big things, and again, thematically, I think we have a lot in common in our aesthetics, where Maine turns dark. Now, we talked about that is a real thing here, and especially, in the shadow of the pines, especially when you go up further north and stuff like that. Where are you going with that now? Because that book, The Golden Road, very much, I feel like, especially, it really encapsulates everything I felt with that book.
Absolutely.
Is that going to be your, connected universe? Is this your your theme, or is this just I want to see that, and I want to understand the vision, because I see it as one thing, and I'm wondering if you get that.
And I love that you picked up on that. Organically, it kind of became my dark literary universe. I had written The Golden Road, didn't expect it to be popular, and it kind of blew up, and I had to figure out how to be an author very quickly. And from that, I've released merch and I've done events, and, I'm almost finished The Township, which is a frontier Maine thriller set in 1823.
Oh, fun.
About the expansion of the logging industry. And
fantastic. I've been doing a story that is similar, set in the late 1800s instead of the early 1800s. That's cool. Freaking cool.
I didn't even know you were a writer. You just threw that on me.
Well, I've been working on it. It's more writing for the channel instead of publishing. So I've been, and not to make this at all about what I'm working on, but
no, absolutely.
I have been, writing a historical fiction based in Maine. It's more of a supernatural horror. It draws deeply from Maine folklore.
Right.
I don't want to give away the main story, but one thing that I love to do and I like to see in writing, because Maine has such diverse and deep folklore.
It does.
I love when people touch on that, and especially in the horror context.
Yeah, me too.
So one of the big inspiration for me personally was I don't know if you've ever heard the podcast, Old Gods of Appalachia. They're a horror anthology podcast that basically tells fictional stories that are based in a fictitious alternate version of historical Appalachia. They take place all over, the entire Appalachian Trail or whatever.
That sounds cool. Yeah.
They usually have to do with anything from werewolves and ghosts and vampires, etc., to other things that are less easy to describe.
Right.
And they're a big inspiration in a certain context, but Maine has that lore in and of itself, where it's kind of taken from so many different cultures.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I see it in Stephen King's writing, how he's influenced deeply by a lot of stuff that was told not only by the Micmac and the Penobscot tribes that lived here, but also a lot of Irish folklore.
Sure.
And he draws from a lot of different places. Do you do any of that with your writing, especially
so you're going to notice that in The Golden Road, there's a lot of Penobscot folklore. I grew up with the Passamaquoddy, though, in Princeton. We kind of shared a border there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Down here we were Wabanaki. It was a lot of Micmac. Penobscot was more towards Bangor, Bucksport.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, once you got down to Acadia region, it was like a lot of Abenaki.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So
you're going to
it's
some supernatural Penobscot in that. So
yeah, oh, yeah. They have a lot to not only them, but there's something here that I think just inspires people. I was talking to another writer the other day, and I don't know if it's like the inspiration comes from the isolation. I don't know if it's that we see the environment, we hear the stories, and then we kind of build on them in our own heads.
right.
He said it was in the water. What do you think makes so many like not only creative people here in Maine, but especially when it comes to like dark and spooky stuff? We have like so much of that here.
Well, I think it's because Maine is so vastly unexplored. With human psychology, we're trying to find that grounding for us to be great storytellers and to bring meaning to things.
Yeah, that definitely seems to be a key theme in all of it here. And it's that fear of the unknown, we all
Right.
have that. And if you spend enough time walking around in the woods, there is enough unknown out here. Like as familiar as I was in the woods, uh there was plenty of surprises. Every day could be an adventure, right? And
Oh,
I think
100%.
that was one thing that got me very early on in your book, because one of the biggest fears that people don't know to fear when they come to Maine, you talk about it right off the bat in your book. Moose.
Yes. Oh,
First
100%. I love that you
First
picked
time
up
I
on that.
encountered one, it was
Yeah.
terrifying. You mentioned it very early on
You
as
should
like
be
that was
terrified.
yeah. It was like I think you mentioned Calumet like when he was like 10, saw his first
Yeah.
moose. And then there's like later on in the chapter, there was a whole incident with a moose that was equally terrifying. And if any person's been in Maine and actually experienced that same thing, that's a new level of fear that you can
Oh,
never really be
100%.
prepared for.
Very dangerous animal. I'm always educating people because people go, "Ooh, I want to go pet one." I mean, they're 1,000-pound animal. So,
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck
yeah.
with that.
And especially if you're 5 miles out on a trail, there's no help. So,
No. I mean, there was a few years back, I remember there was a lady, I want to say she was out in Western Maine. I want to say it was out near Westbrook or something like that. And she literally was in her backyard and a moose just was going by in a bad mood and stomped her.
and I
And
love that you picked up on that. They're very hormonal, and that's why I
yeah,
think they're dangerous. So I've came across bear. I wouldn't say a lot of times, probably 5, 6 times in my life of exploring. Because the black bear are kind of, they call them the main ghost. They kind of stay away from people
yeah,
unless they're
yeah.
familiar with people. Moose just explore. They just go where they want. They stick to the dirt roads and the streams, and if they're hormonal, they're rutting. They're gonna get angry and they're going to charge you. And
Yeah. You come across them at the wrong time of year, it's bad news, and you better just avoid them at all costs. It
absolutely,
really is not something to mess around with.
I
Uh,
love that you picked up on that.
yeah,
That's funny.
down here we had an expression that somebody told me years ago in Torons, and it's like the ones that come here and they think, oh hey, like here's that friendly moose, or here's a bear. Oh hey, isn't it so funny? Look, it's trying to get into the cooler, honey. Oh look, it's opening the cabin door, honey. And like I've literally like seen so many people that just come up here and they don't understand that wildlife is wildlife.
Right.
It's a whole new experience, I guess, if you're a city dweller, the flatlanders, as they call them.
Yeah. No, I love that you picked up on that. You surely should fear moose
Yeah,
and mice, honestly. Mice in the
nice.
Maine woods if you're camping. Yes,
Hmm.
because they will tear all your supplies up. So,
Oh,
yes.
yeah. I had never really thought of that. I haven't run across those. It's usually been moose was always the biggest concern. Um, Raccoons, just because they're insanely smart, is just like
They're
the thing.
and, and stubborn.
Yeah. Like they're kind of there's not much you can do about them. Like once they realize they can get food from you,
They're
that's
gonna
kind of
get it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're kind of screwed and you're just going to be dealing with that for forever. And the only other ones that I really have a major problem with here is the goddamn mosquitoes. And I think every person knows that's a major problem.
Oh, 100%. 100%. That's why I actually love Acadia. We won't go back into Acadia, but Acadia has less mosquitoes, and I love that. But even here to where I'm from, or even hiking Katahdin, I'm not out exploring this time of year. It's too thick with mosquitoes. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I went out yesterday. No, night before yesterday, I went out and I was doing some stuff down at Silver Lake, and that's out in Bucksport. So I went down there. The mosquitoes are probably about the same as they were last year, which is, suffering, but fine, whatever.
Right.
Ticks, though, are the worst I've ever seen. Like
Ticks are scary.
everywhere I go right now.
Ticks are
Big
scary.
fat ones. Fat
Yeah.
ones. Getting into everything. So I was just like, okay, cool. Well, be aware when you go out, you're gonna have to tape your pant leg to your friggin' boots, and
Right.
I should I should probably post something about that because I don't think a lot of people have seen that trick from the sticks.
No, I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, getting back to your writing and some of the themes there. So do you have any further plans without spoiling too much of like future projects or anything? What are you looking forward to working on now? What are you working to write next?
Great question. So I have already kind of teased that there'll probably be at some point a prequel to the Golden Road.
All right. Sounds cool. Cool.
Yeah. Kind
So
of
is
like
that going
tell
to
the
be
beginning of
going
the
back?
story.
Is that going to be following Harlan's story, or
It's going to be following Harlan's story.
Cool.
Every great story needs an origin story, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Expand on that. And you said that the Golden Road is in audio format. Did you narrate it yourself, or did you get somebody else to do it?
So I hired a narrator, Rod Hackathorn. He has never done an audiobook before. Well, at that point, he had never done an audiobook before, and I had never directed an audiobook before. So it was a truly organic experience for both of us.
That must have been fun. How did you get into that? Was that something you planned on doing, or somebody talked you into it?
I had saw how well the book was selling, and I knew immediately, even how I wrote the book, that it needed to be in Audible. I even have people telling me all the time it needs to be a movie at some point. I would love that, but I just knew after the reviews I was getting and how I wrote the book that it needed to be an audiobook for other audiences to enjoy, from a different perspective too.
Yeah. I know nowadays, like because of the hustle and bustle of life, I know some people might debate whether it's really reading or whatever. I think audiobooks are the same as regular books. Like they can be a whole different experience in and of itself sometimes, which I love as well. But like for a lot of people nowadays, it's the way they consume literature. Like,
100%. 100%. And learning and engaging with your mind is just that, simplistic of that. It's engaging with your mind. Whether you're watching TV, you're reading a book, or listening to a podcast, I mean, you're still retaining information. So
yeah, it's still doing that same thing, and it's still telling a story, and you're still, I think a lot of the purists are like, well, it's not, it's like kind of like the people that don't like, digital books versus like physical copies of things.
Right. Yeah.
Hold on just a second. My dog's barking.
Sure. No, you're fine.
I don't know what he hears out there. It could be the cat, could be the neighbors, animals, who knows. We got like a whole homestead out in our backyard, basically.
Could be something lurking in the pines.
Yeah, it always could be. You never know. Oh, they love to do that. Every once in a while, they'll just start staring out the window at something that's just outside of the light of the porch, and you can't really tell exactly what it could be.
Right.
Could be a porcupine. Could be a pale crawler. Who knows?
Right. Could be a poltergeist. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Skin crawler. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta love that. Yeah.
Guessing game.
So going back to what we were saying about the audiobooks, though, it's one of those things where, you've got a bestseller now. And this is something I was just, thinking of myself the other day because somebody else, when you set such a high bar early on in your career, and you have that organic success that happens.
Right.
There's always this kind of like thing in the back of your mind, of course, where you want to like achieve that and you want to keep building on that momentum. Right.
Right.
At the same time, though, you've got such a unique formula to it. And it's such a rooted, homegrown thing.
Mm-hmm.
That do you feel like this is only like the tip of the iceberg and you've just got so much more in the bag, or is it something that you're like, where do I go next?
Right. Oh my God, great question. My anxiety says that. This
Yeah.
is this is it. This is the tip of the iceberg. I'm a one-hit wonder. But I think uniquely you have to look at milestones. Say if I wrote The Township and it didn't commercially do as well as The Golden Road, at least I hit that milestone as being an Amazon bestseller. Um,
Sure.
and then I could always go on and do something else or write another book. So I definitely do feel the pressure, and I think I'm taking my time with The Township because not only for that pressure, I want it to be an absolutely good read and a good experience for my audience because I have built that audience now and they're expecting the same things out of me. So,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm very much looking forward to finishing The Golden Road. I've been loving that so far. It's been a cool read. I very much dig any time that an author, like I said before, can make you feel like you're there through
thank you.
building the world. It comes through much better when the person's lived it. And
Yeah.
I can feel that when I'm reading your writing. I think that that's something really special because, like, you don't see it every day. So it's
Well, I appreciate
awesome.
you saying that because that's the experience I want you to have as you're reading The Golden Road. And I've absolutely lived in those woods and almost died a few times in those woods. So I've definitely experienced, that feeling that you're getting as you're reading it. So,
Yeah, yeah. That's one of the parts of living in Maine is understanding that duality of things, and that
right.
as nice as it is to live here, it can be pretty brutal at times. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
I know that I've run across plenty of scary situations, and just like whether it be in the woods or whether it be in the middle of a town, danger can lurk anywhere, and small towns hold their own secrets. And that's
They
one
do.
thing that
Absolutely.
your story is definitely seeking to plant in people's minds. I say it before, and it is an old trope, but like the most true horror is true horror. The things
Yeah.
that scare us the most are the things that can happen and really do happen in the real world.
Right.
So I like that you walk a line of visceral atmospheric dread, but also tie it to the real world that's grounded and that people can understand.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much.
That's cool. So next, I want to hear, you've lived here in Maine for a while.
Mhm.
I would love to hear, have you ever had any experiences that either you couldn't explain or it just scared you in a different sort of way?
Yes. Quite a lot of experiences, but I'll share my UFO story.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm here.
So, have you ever heard of Lambert Lake, Maine, or Vanceboro, Maine?
I've heard of Vanceboro.
Vanceboro. It's on the Canadian border. It borders with Macadam, New Brunswick. So, my grandparents grew up in Lambert Lake, Maine, which is just a neighboring town. It's almost bordering on Aroostook County, but it's still in Washington County, very down east. Um, and I was riding with my cousin one night, and this was back in like 93, 94. I would have been 12 or 13, around that age. And a very dark road, very rural road. We were driving in a Firebird. And do you remember the T-tops where you could just take off like part of the top so it looks like the T and it
Yes.
was kind of open?
Yeah.
Very cool
Yeah.
for a 12-year-old, right?
Yeah. Love them.
So we're just chilling, we're vibing, and I'm looking up at the stars. I happen to notice to my far right a bright blue light that's following us adjacent to the T-top. I watch it for like 2 or 3 minutes, and then I mention it to my cousin. I go, "Hey, do you notice that?" He goes, "Yeah, I do. That looks pretty weird." So he stops, and we notice that the light stops just like that, abruptly stops.
Huh.
So we both get kind of the jinx, the Scooby Jinx, zoinks. We're freaked out, and so he accelerates very fastly, and then the light follows us again. So now
Hmm.
we're testing it. We're seeing if we're going crazy or this is really happening. So we slow down, and the blue light is following us speed for speed. So at this point, we're panicking. So we were at our grandparents' house in Lambert Lake. So we go to our grandparents' house in Lambert Lake as fast as we can. and we parked the car. We run in the house. My grandparents had a porch that overlooked across the road, and the light had followed us to the neighboring adjacent property where we could see it, and it stopped, and it stayed there for about 20 minutes. And then it got really bright, and it just disappeared.
Wow.
But I
Wow.
couldn't tell you the feeling that I felt. That it was just almost sheer panic, where you almost felt primal and you didn't have anything to say. It was just sheer terror.
Yeah. It followed you that, like, or it at least appeared that it was following you that
Right.
entire way, huh? That's
Right.
incredible.
I mean, maybe we were both hallucinating and that didn't happen, but that's my UFO story.
Well, I mean, the odds are, I mean, hey, I know we've all been on joyrides and stuff like that, but the odds of two people experiencing that and you're both hallucinating it, I don't think it's very likely that you both have seen the same thing and it just was a figment of the imagination or
Right.
whatever.
So I very much believe in UFOs. I mean, the universe is so vast. How could there not be other life forms out there?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's kind of, I mean, that's become more and more of a popular opinion nowadays, right? Because I remember even 30, 40 years ago, right? It was next to unheard of.
It was. It was.
Somebody would say, "Oh, I saw a UFO," and it was like they were a quack that was on, Unsolved
Absolutely.
Mysteries or something like that, right?
Oh, you're full of it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And nowadays it's like, well, I mean, not only are like more and more people, especially up here, most people I know have seen something that they would say was a UFO.
Right.
Whether they can maybe potentially identify it if they researched and tried hard enough, who knows? But almost every person you meet has experienced it or seen something. And I think part of it's because, we have the low light pollution. It's, we spend a lot of time looking at the sky up here. I know I do.
Right.
But also being a believer, it's not just about like the experiences and stuff. Like we have more of that nowadays and we have more evidence to show it.
We do.
But then also people at this point have become kind of like jaded to it, where it's almost not even a big deal anymore. That if we found aliens tomorrow, I don't think most people would be surprised, right?
No, not at all. Well, I think we have a better tool for information. I mean, back 20, 30 years ago, they had the news. We have Google and we have, Chat GPT or whatever you're using to look stuff up.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
We have that at our hands. But I will say my experience was before Starlink and all the satellites in the sky. I had been fooled before out to my camp on Big Lake looking at the sky and seeing all these moving lights, and they're just satellites.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's so much of it now. I mean, it was like, I don't know if you follow, there's a Facebook group that I followed for years, Unexplained Maine. And
I follow
every time that there will be a new satellite launched, you will see people repeatedly posting, what's this? What's this? What's this? And it's like, there'll almost always be just this deluge of pictures of just the dot formation of the Starlink satellites when they launch those. Right. That's always a common one. The orbiter launches, those are another one that you see tons of those now because that's spiral. Which, dude, first time I saw that, same thing. I was like, if I saw that and I didn't know what it was, I would 100% have thought that is a UFO.
100%.
No doubt, right? But then you see stuff like you were seeing where you have an aircraft that's able to follow you at pace, then stop in air, sit, hover, and then just take off like that. We don't have craft that's capable of that. That's another level.
Perspective-wise, it looked 800 to 1,000 feet in the air. Although I wasn't able to identify the shape or architecture of what I was looking at, it looked pretty close to the vehicle.
So it was more just like a light, like an orb, right?
It was like a bright blue light.
Huh. Interesting. That reminds me a lot of the Allagash abduction. You're familiar with that one. Yeah, because with them, they didn't describe so much of as a craft. They described a light that came up out of the water.
That's giving me the
craft part of it. They didn't really describe anything solid. It was just they saw a bright light that came up over the trees and then followed them. It's very similar to what you're reporting.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
I'm never going in the woods again.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if only it were that easy. But yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing that story. That is definitely a fun one. I always enjoy a great UFO encounter, and that was a fun one. So
Oh, thank you so much.
yeah,
Absolutely. That's
thank
probably
you
the
for
creepiest
sharing
thing
that.
that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have, I mean, again, we have it kind of lucky up here because we have plenty of wide open sky to be able to watch for stuff like that.
Right.
I think listeners, if you ever want to have an experience, I think there's no better place on the planet than Maine.
100%. I agree
We
with that.
did, I think since I could be wrong on this, but I think since 2017, we've had 46 recorded sightings.
Wow.
24 of them, they've been able to say they have no idea what it is.
Wow. That's
So
significant.
it's a good number. It's
Is.
not the highest in the country, but it's pretty high up there. So, if
And
you're a
let me play
believer and
devil's
everybody wants to
advocate.
experience it,
Why do you
maybe
think why do you think UFOs target Maine?
I think it's a combination of things. I mean, it depends. First of all, I'm like looking at, I know that there's always this trope of like in the movies, the only thing that like aliens ever seem to notice when they see the Earth is like the US.
Right.
Like,
yeah, that's right.
to an extent, it's like, first of all, there's a few things, and it depends on your thought process in the whole thing. But it's like if they are interstellar, they're coming from outside of space, right?
Right.
Could be a combination of things. There could be something here, some sort of beacon or whatever that lets them know, hey, this is a place that you should go because of various reasons.
Right.
Could be that when it's relative land mass and this is like the closest one next to a certain body of water or something.
Very
that
true.
Could be another explanation because there's a lot of people that think that the USOs and things like that could be more related to the ocean, which we have the most coastline aside from California.
Yeah, very good point.
It seems weird, and I know it doesn't make sense from people, but it's true.
Right.
And if you're looking at something that comes from the water, where's the most likely place they're going to find you?
Oh, 100%.
It's going to be where you have a coastline.
Right. That would look significant to extraterrestrial. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is the other reason that I think, and this is more of a metaphysical, like woo-woo thing, okay? This is out there, but I've always thought that the unique geological composition of Acadia, the granite in particular, it's so rare and so unique. Mm-hmm. Maybe that could explain a certain degree of the weird stuff up here.
Oh, 100%. I agree with that.
I mean, some of the rocks here on this island and on this part of Maine in general is literally like older than anything else on the continent.
Oh, 100%. Okay, I mean, Acadia was formed by volcanoes, correct?
Yeah. It was a volcanic caldera like friggin' 11 million years or something like that ago.
Right. And they got very unique granite there. I mean, you got red rocks, and I mean, you don't see that anywhere else besides Utah. So
yeah. So I mean, it could be a combination of things, or it could be nothing. It could be literal luck. It could just be a roll of the dice, and we don't know. Part of cosmic, understanding of the cosmos and stuff, and that's why I like cosmic horror and stuff like that, is because we don't comprehend it. We can't.
That's true. That's true.
Beyond our understanding, as is a lot of Maine.
Yeah. Our perspectives are perspectives,
Yeah, for sure. Well, Michael, it has been fantastic having you on tonight. I have had a great time chatting with you about your writing. I can't wait to finish your book. I've been having a blast with it so far. I'm going to dig the rest of the way in and plow through it. And it's been an experience for sure. I love the style. There was a couple of lines in it that I was like, you can kind of, you read a certain paragraph and it hits a certain part, like tickles your funny bone, right? In the right way, to where you're like, oh, I like that. I like the way that hits the ear. That hit me within the first 2 pages. I had that happen. So I was like, this is a winner. So
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Very much enjoying that. Thank you so much for reaching out to me and coming on the show. Is there anything you would like to plug before we get ready to wrap it up?
No, I just want to say it's been amazing. I am now a huge fan of Acadia After Dark. I will be watching, and we get to do this again. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to have you on again in the future. When your next book is ready to come out, let me know. I'll be ready to read it and love to have you back on. I'd love to hear more of your stories anytime you want to share.
Yeah,
Been
sounds good. And
fantastic.
my only plug is if you want to check more of my story, go to wheremainturnsdark.com, or you can follow me on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. So
Fantastic. I
that's all
will,
linked to the website.
yes, I will make sure that I link that in the description on the episode so you all will be able to find that in the show notes. Michael, I really appreciate you. Keep it spooky. Keep writing that good horror stuff from the Maine woods. You know we love to hear it around here. And thanks so much for coming on, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And that, folks, was Michael Lowell Wright, author, storyteller, and one of the few people who can talk about Maine's inland wilds with the authority of someone who's worked them, bled in them, and listen to the way they whisper after sundown. The Golden Road is more than a mystery. It's the first mile marker in a dark, connected universe he's building. One shaped by folklore, frontier grit, and the uneasy truth that the land remembers everything. We touched on the dangers that walk on four legs, the ones that buzz in clouds, and the ones that linger beyond the tree line. We talked about the pressure of following up a hit, the craft of storytelling, and the strange magnetism that keeps pulling writers and wanderers back into the Maine woods, even when they know better. If you want to explore more of Michael's world, head to wheremainturnsdark.com and follow his work across the socials. Keep an eye out for The Township, his upcoming frontier thriller, along with the future prequel that will drag us even deeper into the woods. The Fogcast is an Acadia After Dark production. Our intro theme was written by local Maine legends Pine Tree Riot. Background music and sound effects are courtesy of Epidemic Sound. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a like or drop a rating, whichever your preferred platform allows. And finally, if you would like to support the show, please consider becoming a lantern holder tonight. For less than a cup of coffee, you can gain early access to ad-free episodes, digital extras, and exclusive content. Head on over to AcadiaAfterDark.com for more horror from the fog-drenched woods of Maine. Until next time, this has been the Reverend Redbeard. Keep those lanterns lit, and stay safe out there, hikers.